campers, it's Miss Caroline back with another music lesson. We are on week 4 of camp, so we are more than halfway done. I hope it has been a positive experience for you. It definitely has been for me. So I hope that you've been having a nice time and you've adjusted well to this new way of doing camp from home. So let's review a little bit what we talked about last week and the weeks prior. So we have gone over the grand staff, we've gone over the note names, we're familiar with that, we've looked at that. And then I introduced you to our piano. So we know the names of the white keys, and now we know the names of the black keys, the sharps and the flats. We know what a whole and a half step is. A whole step is the distance between any interval is the distance between two notes. But a whole step has exactly one note in between those two notes, and a half step is the note directly next to the note. So we talked about that. We talked about the major scale formula, which is whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. And we put C and G through that formula to make our C major scale and our G major scale. We know that our C major scale has no sharps or flats, and our G major scale has one sharp, which is F sharp at the end there. We also talked about solfege, which is do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, ti, la, so, fa, mi, re, do on the way down. So we talked about that. We're going to implement that in our vocal warm-ups today. So that is what we talked about last week. And what I want to talk to you about this week is meter. So we will get into that in just a minute. And before we get into our vocal warm-ups, I just wanted to remind you about the incentives that we have. So please make sure that you are continuing to comment, to watch the videos, so that you're eligible for that incentive. We are giving out incentives, smaller incentives, at the end of each week, and then at the end of camp there will be one big incentive. So please make sure that you keep commenting, keep participating, so that you are eligible, for that incentive. All right, so now that we've checked in with each other, we can start with our vocal warm-ups. All right, guys, so we're going to get right into it with our vocal warm-ups. We're going to be doing the same exercises that we've been doing. The only difference this time is we're going to be singing with the solfege because we just learned it, and I would like to get you more familiar with how to actually sing with it. So we're going to be doing the same exercises. We're just going to be doing it with the solfege syllables instead of the na that I was having you sing on. So, for instance, with this exercise here, the one that we've been doing, na, 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 na. Instead of singing on the na, we're going to assign solfege syllables. So, with this exercise, we are singing in thirds up to the fifth. So, we're essentially going 1, 3, 5, 3, 1. So, we learned that the first syllable of solfege, the first syllable of the major scale, is do. So, instead of saying 1, we would sing do with this particular exercise. And if we're going up to the third, we're going to skip the second. The second is re. So we're going to skip re and go to mi. So we're going to go do, mi, go up to that third. And once again, we're going to skip the fourth. So we're going to skip fa and go up to sol. So it would be do, mi, sol, mi, do. And that's how we would sing that exercise with solfege. So let's try that. Let's go up in half steps like we've been doing with the solfege. So start on this note. Do, mi, sol, mi, do. Up a half step. Do, mi, sol, mi, do. 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 stop there. All right, good job with that. It takes a little bit to get used to, but once you get used to it, it just becomes second nature to you and you just remember it. So let's continue. Let's start with singing up to the fifth. So the exercise that we were doing was we started on a G, so we started like that, and we were going na 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 na. All right, so instead of singing on the na, we're gonna sing with the solfege. So we know that the first note is do. We know that the second note is re, the third note is mi, the fourth note is fa, and the fifth note is sol. So instead of going na 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 na, we are going to instead go do re mi fa sol fa mi re do, and continue to go up the scale. Coming down from the solfege can be a little bit tricky sometimes, so don't get discouraged if you get tripped up on that part. It does take some practice. So let's sing up that scale with the solfege, starting on this G. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, fa, mi, re, do. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, fa, mi, re, do. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, fa, mi, re, do. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, fa, mi, re, do. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, fa, mi, re, do. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, fa, mi, re, do. Last one. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, fa, mi, re, do. All right, perfect. So now what we're going to do is we're going to practice singing in the descending direction with the solfege. So I'm going to start you on that chord that we just left off on. This was a fairly new exercise last week. I think we started doing this, so I'll review it with you. We started higher and we started singing down from the fifth. So from here, you go up the fifth, and you go na 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 na, or the fourth. I'm sorry, we started at the fourth. So na 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 na, or that's the fifth. I'm sorry, excuse me. That is the fifth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So we started here and sang down the fifth. Na 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 na, and kept going down. Na 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 na. All right. So we remember that the fifth syllable for solfege is sol. So if we're going down the scale, we would go sol, fa, mi, re, do, sol, fa, mi, re, do, and just keep going down. All right, so let's try that. This can be very tricky at first, so again, please do not get discouraged if this is a bit challenging for you. This all takes practice, and nobody's perfect, so. Let's start right there. Sol, fa, mi, re, do. 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 That's as low as I can go. All right, great job with the vocal warm-ups. We are going to continue practicing that over the next couple of weeks. So let's get right into the lesson. We're going to talk about rhythm today. All right, everybody, let's get right into the lesson. We're going to be talking about rhythm, and we're going to go over some meter signatures today as well. So to start off our lesson, we're going to take a look at this, and this is what I like to call the rhythm tree. I like to call it the rhythm tree because it looks a bit like a family tree. I don't know if you've ever seen what a family tree looks like, but it would have your grandparents up here, your parents up here, you and your siblings down here, and then would have your kids down here and your kids' down there, and it just keeps going and expanding as you kind of go down the family tree. So that is what is happening here with the rhythm tree. The rhythm tree, it shows you all of the primary notes that we're going to be looking at, and it provides you with a visual to help you understand the value of those notes. So as we're looking at this, we're going to see 3 different things differentiating the notes. And those 3 different things are the note head, the stem, and the flag. So this, like the circle here, the circles that all of them have, that is the note head. The line that some of them have sticking out of it, that is the stem. And the little squiggle that some of them have hanging off of the stem is the flag. So let's get that, let's understand that before we start looking at the notes themselves. So starting at the top of the rhythm tree, we have the whole note. Now the whole note is an open note head. It has no stem, no flag. It is just an open note head. It's not filled in. And within that whole note are 2 half notes. And the half note is once again an open note head, but the half note has a stem hanging off of it. And within that whole note, or half note, excuse me, within the half note are 2 quarter notes. Now the quarter notes have a closed note head, so a filled in note head, and a stem as well. And within that quarter note, there are 2 eighth notes. Now the eighth notes also have a closed note head, they have a stem, and they have 1 flag hanging off of the top. Within that eighth note, there are 2 16th notes. And the 16th note looks like the eighth note. It has the closed note head, the stem, but the 16th note has two flags. So if we look at the whole note, we can see that the whole note contains 2 half notes, 4 quarter notes, 8 eighth notes, and 16 16th notes. Now, we are mainly going to be looking at quarter notes first. That is going to be our main frame of reference for now, because it's the easiest way to understand rhythm and meter when you first start music. So we are going to be focusing on quarter notes mostly. But we will get into half notes and whole notes. We're going to get into eighth notes and 16th notes. We just have to start with the quarter notes first, because that is the easiest way to get familiar with meter and rhythm. So let's talk a little bit about that. All right, guys, I'm going to start talking to you a little bit about meter. And the first thing we're going to do is look at 3 common time signatures together. So let's take a look. All right, so a time signature is always going to look like this. It's always going to be 2 numbers on top of each other. Now the top number is always going to tell you the number of notes that are within a measure. Now a measure is a grouping of notes within a melody, and the measures are always signified with these measure lines. So this would be a measure, and this would be a measure, and this would be a measure. And the bottom note is always going to tell you the note value. So if it's a 4, it's going to be a quarter note. If it was an 8, it would be an eighth note. If it was like 16, it would be a 16th note. If it was a 2, it would be a half note. So since it is, we are in 2/4, we are looking at the 2/4 time signature, we are able to tell that in this time signature, there are going to be 2 quarter notes within a measure. So it would look like this. And it would sound a little something like this. 1 2 1 2 1 2. Now in 2/4, we are, well, in any time signature actually, you are always putting emphasis on the first note and the first note only. So I'm gonna hit emphasis on that 1. So 1 2 1 2 1 2, and that 1 is gonna get more emphasis than that second one. So when we're looking in 3/4, what we learned up here, we're going to apply to 3/4 as well. So there are going to be 3 quarter notes within a measure. So 3/4 would look something like this. And it would sound a little something like this. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now note the difference between how 2/4 sounds and how 3/4 sounds. 2/4 sounds like 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and 3/4 sounds like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So in 2/4, when we're in the 2/4 time signature, it's easier for us to kind of tap our foot or nod our head to that beat. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And in 3/4, we are more prone to want to kind of sway to that beat. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So there is a distinct difference between those two meters. Now in 4/4, we're gonna again apply this to 4/4 as well. So there are gonna be 4 quarter notes within a measure. Now 4/4 would sound a little something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you'll notice that it's in terms of the nodding, like the nodding and the tapping your foot to the beat, 4/4 and 2/4 are very similar in that way. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. You can do the same thing with 4/4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. The only outlier is 3/4, because in 3/4 we're more prone to want to sway. That is what that beat makes us want to do. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So familiarize yourself with that. And now I'm going to play you some examples on my guitar, and I'm going to ask you whether it is in 3/4 or 2/4. Alright guys, so I am going to play a couple of melodies for you on my guitar. Well, not melodies, but chord progressions. And you are going to tell me whether it is in 3/4 or 2/4. Now remember, 3/4 is the beat that you can kind of sway to. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And 2/4 is the beat that you can kind of nod to or tap your foot to. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, so let's start with the first one. All right, I will play that one more time. If you guessed that that was in 3/4, great job, you were right. So notice how you can kind of sway to that beat. It's a nice swayable beat. All right, so let's try another one. I will play that one more time. All right, if you guessed that that was in 2/4, great job, you are right. So again, notice how you can kind of nod your head or tap your foot to that. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, great job with that. Let's try one more. All right. All right, I will play that one more time. Alrighty, if you guessed that that was in 3/4, great job, you were right. So again, we can kind of sway to that melody. Alright, let's try one more. Why not? Alright. Alright, I will play that one more time. Alright, if you guessed that that was in 2/4, great job, you were right. So again, we can kind of tap our head to that. Great job. Alright guys, awesome job practicing with that. We're gonna continue working on this. But it has come to the end of our lesson, so as always, I am going to play a song for you. Alright guys, great job with our lesson today. As always, I'm going to end with a song. Today I'm going to sing for you Sunday Morning by Maroon 5. I hope you enjoy it.
Share some skin. Clouds are shrouding us in moments unforgettable. You twist to fit the mold that I'm in. But things just get so crazy, living life gets hard to do. And I would gladly hit the road, get up and go if I knew that someday it would lead me back to you. That someday it would lead me back to you. That may be all I need. In darkness she is all I see. Come on, rest your bones with me. Driving slow on Sunday morning, I never wanna leave. Trace your every outline, oh yeah, yeah. Paint a picture with my hands, oh, oh. And back and forth we sway like branches in a storm. Change the weather, still together when it ends. That may be all I need. In darkness she is all I see. Come on, rest your bones with me. Driving slow on Sunday morning, I never wanna leave. Just get so crazy, living life gets hard to do. Sunday morning rain is falling and I'm coming up to you, singing someday it'll bring me back to you. I know that it will bring me back to you. You may not know that maybe all I need. In darkness she is all I see. Come on, rest your bones
All right, thank you guys so much for tuning in today. I hope you have a great rest of your day and great job with our lesson today. Bye!